There's my brother, my dear brother. How are you? Giving you hugs and high fives and
Right.
what can I say? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
And your Max had said you were contemplating whether or not you could play us anything, or is that a no or a yes or?
Playing something. I mean, on a guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that.
Oh, you're an animal. All right. I love it, brother. I love it. Well, great.
Let
So
me grab the guitar and see
thanks,
if you can.
Robbie.
You know.
Good man. Good man. Sending lots of aloha to you for and mahalos for that one. Some people are recording records with these. Steve Cropper was telling me they did his whole new album with his iPhone. They did all the vocals on it. So it's like you're
All
not
right.
you're you're using stuff that a guy like Steve is using. So
That's cool.
play it a couple times just so I can hear how loud it is, and then we'll just talk for a while.
All right. Can you hear this?
Yeah, sounds perfect. Sounds great. All right. So first and foremost to you, my brother, a huge aloha and mahalo, Robbie. We appreciate you doing this and taking the time for us. We don't take your time for granted. Thank you.
Well, are you in Hawaii?
We are in Hawaii, and in fact, it was way back in 2005 at the Kahala Hotel. You, the late great Ray Manzarek, and Ian Asbury of the Cult, and myself, we were all hanging out doing an interview in that conference room there. We had a really cool time talking.
I remember that. Yeah.
We had a nice chat in the hotel. They had a big conference room set up for us, and then well, we saw each other again at the venue, I guess. And but I always remember at the end of that, there was all this Doors paraphernalia laid out on the table, and you were just standing there, just looking around the room, talking to people. And Ray is like signing everything, and he looks over at you, goes, "Robbie, grab a pen and sign everything that has our name on it."
That's,
So
that's great.
that is Ray. So you're joining us from your home in Southern California, I assume, LA area.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So I tried to pick a variety of stories in the book, which are not really offered by you in a complete chronological order. So I'm not going to follow one either all the time. But what we will start, I guess, hopefully with you telling us the story of John Densmore first introducing you to Jim Morrison when he brought Jim over to your parents' house.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'd heard about him, uh, from the other guys, but had never met him. And at that time, nobody thought he was nuts or anything. He was just a college guy, and he was in film school, and so he came over, and I just thought he was a normal guy, who wrote really good words. I'd read some of the words, that he had written, like Moonlight Drive and stuff like that, and yeah, it was just. And then I played some guitar for them. I played some slide guitar, and Jim really liked that. He never heard it before, and so that was pretty cool.
He had short hair then?
What's that?
Did he have short hair then?
Um, Let me think. No, it wasn't short. It wasn't real long, but he definitely looked a little raggedy for a college guy.
And any cool stories, additional ones of your parents interacting with Jim Morrison that writing the book helped you remember, or just are fun that you like to tell when you think of Jim interacting with your mom and dad?
Well, my mom loved him. 'Cause he was real. He was very much like a Southern gentleman, because he grew up in the South, and he he really charmed her. And and uh, my dad liked him too for some reason, even though he had to bail Jim out of jail about a week later. We had our first rehearsal, and he didn't show up, and we said, "Where's Jim? This is crazy." And pretty soon we get a phone call. He's out in Blythe, California, in jail. They'd gotten in a fight, in a bar fight with some Hell's Angels. So he missed the rehearsal.
And your dad went and bailed him out.
Well, he put up the money anyway. You know.
Oh, okay. He didn't go, but he put up the cash, and you guys went
Yeah,
and
yeah,
did
we
it.
went and got him.
There's other weird connection, not weird, but a cool connection. Not many people can say something like this. Like, so your folks go on vacation to Europe, and Jim Morrison stays with you at your house according to the book, for a few weeks. Is that accurate?
Yeah, they were gone for 2 or 3 weeks, and my grandpa was there, and he was like pretty old, and he just kind of kept to himself. And Jim liked him, though. He said, "Yeah, he's cool, man. He's cool. He doesn't make any trouble or ask any questions, So he liked my grandpa, Grandpa Fred.
Grandpa Fred.
Yeah.
Any cool stories of them together over the couple of weeks?
No, they didn't really
Interact much?
No, not hardly at all. Because my grandpa was real kind of shy, or I guess he just wasn't interested
That's cool.
in hanging out.
Yeah, stuff like that is always fascinating, especially with him, and it's great because you can really shine a light on aspects of this cat that people, and you do throughout this book, which people are very curious about, and some of it has just never been covered. You got the chance to audition for the Doors at that guy Hank's place. I was never really sure how you got that chance to audition. Can you explain that?
Well, it was through John,
Densmore.
Yeah, Densmore and I were buddies at school. And, at first, Ray and his brothers were the band. And then the drummer quit. So then they got John. And John got me. So that's kind of how it went.
Anything about that audition when you remember it? What set the scene for people? I mean, what an amazing part of your life, because literally we're talking today because that worked out.
Yeah, you're right. Well, it was there was this place called Henshey's. It was a clothing store in Santa Monica, and in the back, where the parking lot was, there was this little house, and this guy Hank lived there. I don't know how he got that place, but it was it was pretty cool. Except people were driving by at all hours of the day, parking. But he had a piano in there, and he told Ray anytime he wanted to come on and use it, and we did. So that was where the thing was, and they had 3 or 4 other guitar players that were trying out, and so on the first song, Moonlight Drive, I decided to try the slide guitar,
Yeah.
And they loved it. Immediately, I was in the band after that song.
You remember anybody's reaction in particular?
Yeah. I mean, Jim says, "Man, I want that on every song. I want that slide guitar."
Oh man, to hear him say that, and what's funny is you have so many interesting parts, and again, it's the Doors legend. Robby Krieger is with us, Set the Night on Fire, and we had John, by the way, last year on our Off the Road series. So this is just great for listeners. I'm sure they're just eating this up. And one of the things is you tell some of the different aspects of your relationship. So and some of them take place in the context of infamous Jim Morrison incidents, like the for example, 1967 show. You're at the arena in New Haven, Connecticut, referred to in the Doors classic Peace Frog. Share that story and how it was your job that night to keep Jim Morrison sober.
Yeah, good luck, right? So I'd say, "Hey Jim, let's go out to dinner," and we each had a girl friend, and he started drinking, of course, and I kept trying to change the subject, or make him forget about drinking. Jim, we got to go on in an hour, and better hurry up, we got to get going, But it didn't work very well. I mean, he didn't get plastered or anything, but he definitely, definitely drank that night. And so finally we get back to the place in New Haven Hall or whatever it was. And Jim and his girlfriend kind of went backstage somewhere into the depths of the building. It's an old hall. And right. And, they start making out, I guess, or something. And, and there happened to be a cop back there. And he thought that they just snuck backstage, from the audience. And so he started giving them some shit, trying, all right, get out of here. You can't be back here. And Jim gets all pissed off and says, hey, I'm the singer. I'm doing the show here. Oh, right, sure, I believe that. Guy didn't believe him. So it ended up where Jim kind of got, I suppose, got a little crazy, and and it ended up that the guy maced him right in the face. That goddamn mace, And finally, at that point, we found him and explained to the cop, hey, this is our guy, But Jim couldn't let it go, and you know what happened on stage.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of those times. A lot of times Jim would taunt the police, and I mean, there's so many of these incidents throughout his career. In fact, one I've always been curious about, because it was the beginning of the show in Seattle, and I don't know where I put it on my notes because I want to cross it off and make sure I say to myself that I covered it. But I have this boot of the show in Seattle, and it's 1970 show, and you guys are about to go on. Jim is taunting the cops, and you can hear off mic somebody goes, "Knock it off, Jim." Was that you?
Who knows? Good. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the Seattle 1970 show. Anybody can hear it now on YouTube, but back in the day you had to buy these things as bootlegs, and Jim is taunting the cops, and you can clearly hear somebody off mic say something like, "Knock it off, Jim." I always think of you because I'm like, well, it didn't sound like Ray's voice, and it was like you were mobile with your guitar. You could have walked over to him and been like, "Hey, stop! You're gonna get us in trouble."
Either me or John, I guess.
Right. And so any story, I wasn't aware, in this book, I was not even aware of all the other covers of Light My Fire that you detail, and I felt kind of ignorant not knowing about them. I obviously knew about Jose Feliciano, as we've had him on the show. Is there any story of Jim Morrison reacting to Jose's version of that? Did he like it? Did he know about it?
I think none of us liked it at first because it was so different than our version, and it was more, it was obviously more commercial sounding than ours, because what happened was after he did it, everybody started doing it. You could hear it on the elevator. And but then pretty soon we realized that's a good thing. If a lot of people do your song, you make the money.
Right.
And you know what? I really started liking his version a lot, because there's some great guitar stuff that he does.
Totally.
I mean, it's totally different than our version, but to me, it shows the strength of that song. Because like two totally different versions, and it makes the careers of both us and Jose.
No, it's huge. No,
it's number ones for each of us. I mean, that don't happen.
It's giant. I mean, I just didn't know, though, that the other ones, like the Johnny Mathis, the Nancy Sinatra, Stevie Wonder, Martha Reeves, I was unaware of them till you pointed them out in the book, which really, so kudos. Yeah. Thank you for doing that, because the book is educational in that way, too. And again, same question. Any reaction from Jim to any of these that you can remember?
Well, I don't think any of those happened, and only just Jose's, before Jim passed away.
Oh, the
So
others were all after he had every other
yeah,
one?
I think
Really?
there was one by Minnie Riperton that came out, and he really loved that one.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. Did you
So
ever hear
that
that?
I now I'm writing it down. And but she had a couple other great I know who
Yeah,
Minnie is, Minnie Riperton version. I will look it up. So Jim liked that one. You remember him reacting to that?
yeah, he loved that one. Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great that's a good thing that people would enjoy knowing. And
Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking of putting out a record with all the versions, all the different versions, Light My Fire.
that's a cool thing. That's
That
very
would be cool.
educational, and it would cover all the bases. Good for you. And the mini. I didn't even know that. I didn't. Did you have the mini one in the book? Mini Ripperton one listed?
I think so.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
my fault for not writing that down. And another one I've always been curious about because when you look at like thematically when bands bring topics like so if I was to describe the Doors to somebody I could say well this is one of the first bands that brought that kind of minor key serious element to rock music that would be followed up by people like Black Sabbath to a much heavier degree and then they would go into the history books really because of Tony Iommi that very different sound that they did talk about an original sound but they to me kind of followed in some way after the Doors. So my question is and it's probably going to be the same answer because the it was like ships passing. There was a brief period where both bands were in existence at once. But do you ever remember Jim Morrison being aware of or reacting to Black Sabbath, or were you aware of them during the Doors era with Jim?
Well, let's see. What year did they come out, actually?
The first record came out in February of '70.
So, yeah. Oh gosh, I mean, I of course knew about them, and I liked the guitar stuff and all that, but I think Jim probably never really heard him because he
Okay.
was gone 70, early 71.
Yeah, so it was first album came out in February '70, and then Paranoid, epic record, really landmark album, came out in August of '70. So that's why I said there was a chance that he could have heard it, but also not because the world didn't work the way it does now.
Exactly. I mean, if he did, he never mentioned it to
Okay,
me.
no, that's fair, and I've always been curious, and yeah, I'm sure you can understand why, just because thematically. And
Yeah.
also, you guys play the Fantasy Fair and Magic Mountain Music Festival '67. Dionne Warwick on the bill. Any interaction with her?
No, wait a minute. Where was that?
That was the Fantasy Fair Magic Mountain Music Festival, 1967. Dionne Warwick also on that bill.
Magic. What, was that in San Francisco?
Magic Mountain Music Festival. I would imagine near that site, which was like I guess Southern California.
Oh gosh.
I know you've seen too. Don't worry, we'll go on to the next thing. That's why it's okay because you. I mean, I listen to your stuff so much, brother. You're such an inspiration to me. You've done too many things to remember them all. How about when you guys opened for Simon and Garfunkel?
I love Dionne Warwick though.
Yeah,
And
she's awesome. I love her too. Opening for Simon and Garfunkel. Any interaction between them and Jim?
um, gosh, I don't remember much interaction, but we were kind of surprised to get that gig because we were really nothing like Simon and
Yeah.
Garfunkel. And I don't think the audience really knew who we were that much. It was in New York, and
Is that a Bill Graham gig?
uh, I don't think so.
Okay.
It was. I think the city put it on or something.
All right.
But I don't see how we got that gig even because I mean they were just starting out, but they got really big quick,
Sure.
and we hadn't really had a record out yet. I don't think so. I don't think anybody knew who we were. Break On Through might have come out, but we were nowhere near as popular as them. And I don't think the audience really got it, what we were doing.
That is a radical difference in tone and sound. And you've got a great story in there about your seatmate on the flight over to England for the 1970 Isle of Wight Festival. Tell that whole story, every detail you remember, starting with where the flight took off from.
Well, it was in New York, and we were going to England for the festival over there, the Isle of Wight festival, and we were up in first class by that time, and I looked next to me, seat next to me was Jimi Hendrix. Wow. I'd never met him before, and I'd seen a lot of his shows, though. Saw him at the Whiskey.
Wow.
Jimi Hendrix at the Whiskey, man.
Unbelievable.
Remember those Marshalls were so loud. It was, I never heard anything like that. Very cool. Anyway, so, I tried to pump some information out of him and stuff.
Did you introduce yourself? Like, what was your first reaction? Were you like, "Hey, I'm in the door"? Did he know who you were? Like, tell us any of the.
Yeah, he knew. It was mutual respect there, but he didn't seem to want to give away any guitar secrets. That's for sure. Mostly, we talked about drugs. Okay, where are you gonna get something when we get there? So let's exchange phone numbers, and if I get something, I'll call you. And I wasn't into hard drugs, but at that time, but he definitely was.
Right.
He just figured I would be.
Right. Yeah.
If you score, I'll call you. You call me. If I score, I'll call you.
But he never called, right?
No,
Right.
I guess he didn't get nothing.
Because I remember in that you say that about that, and you also you mentioned that you and Jim at one point had been seeing the same doctor, and that the doctor once alluded to you something being seriously physically wrong with Jim, as you had wondered if he had a secret medical condition, and I had never heard anything about that till this book. Explain that.
Well, actually, it wasn't me. It was my wife that went to Dr. Derwin that day, and she said, "Hey, he mentioned something about Jim having some condition," and so after that, I always thought, geez, maybe that's why Jim always acted like somebody who might be dead in 6 months, and took all those chances and just wanted to live 100% every day. He didn't say what it was, but yeah, I definitely often wondered about that.
Wow, that's a very interesting thing. And you mentioned your wife. You end up dating Lynn, your wife to this day, way back then. And what's
51,
cool? Say again?
51 years.
Giving you a high five, a hug, one for her too. Socially distanced, of course, with the virus. Maybe I'll just wave from 10 feet away. And she even makes, however, the trip to Hawaii with the Doors on their first visit to the islands, including going to the Big Island, Maui after the Honolulu show. Tell folks stories about the Doors in Hawaii that you can remember that are fun to recall.
Yeah, that was really, really a fun trip. And Lynn and I were not married yet or anything, but she was sort of with me, supposedly. But Jim didn't agree with that, apparently. So she was, she loved to drink at that time, and I didn't. So she'd go hang out with Jim and the guys, and make me jealous,
Right.
And she was with Jim back in New York before that, before I had met her, and so
and that's why she had come to California, right? It's because of Jim.
Yeah, exactly. She thought maybe she could get in there with Jim.
Yeah.
And the first time she went over to his house, Pam opens the door.
Right, Jim's other famous girlfriend, Pam
Yeah.
Poison.
And Lynn had never even heard of Pam. She's not really my girlfriend. We just live together. He was giving her that kind of stuff, but she didn't believe it.
Of course not.
And she ran out of the house, and Jim ran after her, and I think he ran into the street and got hit by a car or something.
Jim did.
Just try to make her feel sorry for him, I guess.
Unbelievable. Right, is the way, and he would do stuff like that, right, to
Yeah.
manipulate or play on people with his antics, and you really learn a lot about him through this, which is kind of fun to. And anything about like his time in Hawaii that he that sticks out, or anything about like seeing him here, just because obviously I'm sure you can imagine people in the islands would think it
Well,
was cool.
yes, I always remember him riding that bike around. I don't know if you ever saw that video of
Uh
Jim riding the bike in Hawaii. Yeah, he, uh, he found this bike somewhere and
Bicycle
just
or motorbike?
a bicycle.
Okay.
Yeah, and he loved the sailboat, of course. Going, you know, he spent a lot of time on boats with his dad, and so he had a good. We rented this big sailboat
On Maui, right?
a couple of days. Yeah, I think that was Maui, and he loved it.
I've seen the video of him outside of the Blaisdell Arena, which is really candid, and he's got his arm around the police. They're joking, they're laughing, they're having fun, like he and the cops backstage, like right outside of the Blaisdell. And I always like looking at that video, just because Jim's smile is so innocent and wide, and the cops are having fun and Jim's having fun. It's just like it's not the kind of moment that you see with Jim and cops, you know. And I know that things like that did happen. And similarly, as we go to wrap it up with you, moments that people aren't as familiar with Jim, accompanying Jim Morrison on acoustic guitar, one of his poetry readings back when Jim was already a star. And so, again, if you can try to paint a picture of this event for us, since it's radio, and when this happened approximately, and what that was your memory of
That
that.
was pretty early. I think the first album just came out, and they were trying to get Norman Mailer to be governor of New York. They're trying to raise money for that, and we thought that was pretty cool. So we went and did a couple of songs, and Jim did some of his poetry.
What kind of venue?
It was real small, right up on Sunset. It was like a bookstore, I think.
We have Robby here with us. He has his guitar in his hand, and he said he was willing to play a little something for us.
Yeah, a little something. Yeah.
We'd love it, brother. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
This is my old flamenco guitar that I played Spanish Caravan.
You're the man. Thank you, Robby. We appreciate it. Did you have fun today?
Sure did, man. Aloha, everybody. This is Robby Krieger of The Doors. Took almost a lifetime, but I finally made it to Hawaii Public Radio. I was a guest on the Off the Road series. Had such a great time connecting with my old buddy, Dave Lawrence. All right, give money right now. They're a nonprofit, and they have to keep going, man. So ante up. And a big mahalo, and here's how.
You're the man.
Thank you.
You are the man. Thank you, Robby.
Right.
Take care, buddy.
All right, I might be coming over there in June.
Dude, we got to do an interview, and we'll do something in advance. Is it for a gig that you need to promote?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll have you on the show.
All right, cool.
Stay
Thanks,
safe.
buddy.
You're welcome, bud. Bye.